Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about passing your prime. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, Frederick, how do I know if someone has become complacent, basically? That's pretty much the question in question. So the short answer is, number one, they fail at adopting any type of new concept in some fashion. They fail at adopting a new tool or something like that. And the second thing, these two needs to be in combination. And the second thing is that they are reluctant to adopt things, not because it's a bad idea, but because they simply don't like it. That's I would say the strongest sign. What do I mean by that? Well, I will tell you this. So when I state to you that being conservative or reluctant to adopt new tooling is a bad thing, I don't mean that just across the board. What I'm stating is that if you have the perspective that we should be careful with our dependencies, so we should be careful of trying this new tool out because it's in a beta phase or even an alpha phase in worst case scenario, and we are not really sure if this is going to fit our project and it's a trend, etc., etc. If you are making an informed decision to not opt into something because you know that this is a bad idea, that is not the same thing as you saying that no, I don't want to try this because you don't want to learn something new. There is a big difference there. It is something where you have gotten to the point, if you see a programmer do this, it's very likely that this individual has gotten to a point where they feel very comfortable. What happens with being comfortable as a programmer, although it's very nice, is that you very quickly become complacent because you feel that you can pretty much do all the things that you need to do. And then you forget that this is a very dynamic and fast-moving industry where you pretty much have to adopt new things as they come along and become relevant to the industry, unless you have the good fortune, quote, to work in a company where this is not necessary. There are organizations that are still using technology that is quite old, but for the average programmer, you're going to see some changes to your workflow. And if you ever get to a point where you kind of kid yourself into believing that you don't have to learn these new things because you can just stay on the old stuff, then this is a very, very, very clear sign that you have started the process of becoming complacent and redundant, and basically you're passing your prime, if you will. You have lost one of the core things that gives you market value, and that is that desire to adopt new tools. I'm not going to say better, because it's not always better. I'm just sorry to say that sometimes things come along that may not be the best thing ever, but you still have to kind of know about it and you need to adopt it. So saying no to something because, I hope that is clear, because it is a bad idea for the project, that's one thing. That is experience. The other thing is I'm saying no because I don't want to learn it, because I already have a bunch of tools over here that can do this, and I don't see why should I do this? It's a hassle. If I have to do this, this means that I have to go out of my comfort zone and start all over again and learn something that I don't already know. And it's much easier for me to just use the tools that I already have, right? That is definitely a sign. And the second thing is, as I was saying, that you are reluctant, you are actively trying to avoid adopting new practices or updating yourself. You're basically, you have tired of trying. Like you have your workflow. You're just interested in doing things your way, and if somebody has another suggestion, that's great, but I'm still gonna do it my way. I mean, I'm probably, you might even nod and say, yeah, that sounds like a really great idea, and then you still go back and do the exact same thing you've been doing 100 times before because it feels comfortable, and you don't want to have to deal with changes to your processes. And that is definitely if you have such a programmer, you can even catch the most extreme cases you can catch in an interview where you basically just have to ask the right sorts of questions, and you can very quickly, this is one of the benefits of having someone in your company that has a bit of seniority and knowledge of what's relevant in the tooling world and what different companies are using, because then you can in an interview ask people, so what tooling are you using and how are you accustomed to working? Warning flags for in an interview is that they basically state some of the more outdated or older tools, and that they very clearly show that they're not that social and they usually work in isolation. These are, they don't tell you that they're incompetent, but they give you an indicator as to what type of programmer you have to deal with. Age is unfortunately also one of these things that may factor in here, because generally speaking, junior developers, or this is not always true of course, but people who are fresher in their career are usually very open and enthusiastic about tooling and different things and like learning things and so forth, in comparison to those who have been doing it for years and years and years, because you pretty much, I mean, that's the way it always goes, right? If you do something for long enough, it's sooner or later going to feel like old hat, pretty much every single thing you do, and it's not going to be as stimulating anymore. So what I want you to take away from this is that the best way, or the biggest sign I would say as to if a developer has become complacent is, number one, that they pretty much just want to, like, they have their own workflow, they have their tools, they don't really care about new tools, they don't care about anything new at all, pretty much. They may nod and say that, yeah, that's great, and like be enthusiastic in meetings and so forth, but at the end of the day, they're still going to do the thing that they're doing in the same way they want to do it and so forth, and they're not really trying to adopt anything new into their workflow. The second thing is that they are reluctant to change anything about their process or anything. If it's tooling or if it's about doing something, they have their exact way of doing something. And even if you come with suggestions of doing things in a different way and so forth, they don't really care about that. They just want to do it their way. That's the important thing, because what this whole situation is actually about is that they feel comfortable in the tools and the processes and the way that they do things, and they don't want to go outside of that comfort bubble. And if you have a programmer that is working in that fashion, this doesn't necessarily have to be someone who is like a super senior and kind of outdated. This can happen at many stages in a programmer's career. But if you have such an individual, you should be very careful, because such an individual they won't progress any further, or not that much. It's very unlikely that such an individual is going to be your new rock star programmer who is going to bring all this value to the company. They might be solid if everything fits their workflow, but you might find that they're hard to work with, they're hard to adjust, they're hard to collaborate with and so forth. So if you can manage to find a situation where they can do exactly the thing that they're used to doing and just do it just so, they might be a good fit. But I would say that it's probably easier for you to find someone else. Have a great day.